The introduction to Zeus and the prophecy sets the stage for understanding the pivotal moment in Greek mythology where Zeus faced a foretelling of his potential downfall. The prophecy indicated that Metis, the Titaness of wisdom, would bear him a child destined to overthrow him. This prophecy is crucial as it encapsulates the themes of fate, power, and divine intervention that are recurrent throughout Greek mythology. This concept's significance lies in its exploration of the tension between destiny and the actions taken to prevent it. Zeus's decision to swallow Metis to prevent the prophecy's fulfillment highlights his fear of losing power and marks a defining moment in his reign. The decision proved to be strategically sound, as it forestalled his predicted downfall, yet it also brought unintended consequences, such as the birth of Athena, who was born from his head fully grown after he swallowed Metis. Athena's existence and her role in offering wisdom, strategic warfare, and crafts to mortals are direct outcomes of Zeus's choice and play a fundamental part in shaping the dynamics of divine influence over human affairs. In a modern context, the example of Zeus's actions can be likened to political or corporate leaders attempting to consolidate power by preemptively eliminating potential threats. Another real-world analogy could involve scientific advancements that are initially feared or resisted due to their potential to disrupt the status quo, only to eventually reveal beneficial dimensions. Think of the early reception of technologies like artificial intelligence. Supporters of the idea that Zeus made the right decision might argue that his forethought prevented chaos, maintaining stability in Olympus and the mortal world. Opponents, however, may view his actions as driven by paranoia and a failure to accept change, potentially stifling progress and diversity in divine leadership. They might argue that, unlike the tyrannical toga of an absolute ruler, leadership should evolve, potentially allowing for better adaptation and growth. This incident connects deeply with other aspects of our main topic by illustrating the paradox of foresight. While Zeus's paranoia saved his throne, a world without Athena's birth would deprive humanity of divine wisdom and guidance in war and crafts, thus altering history's course significantly. This contributes to understanding the dichotomy between the divine right to rule and the value of nurturing diverse, transformative influences that new leadership can bring. Understanding these interactions enriches our appreciation of mythology as a reflection of broader human concerns about power, fear, and progress. Imagine a world where Zeus, in a moment of defiance, chooses to ignore the prophecy that warns of his downfall at the hands of a child born by Metis, the Titaness of wisdom. In Greek mythology, Zeus swallows Metis to prevent this foretelling from actualizing. But what if he didn't? In this alternate scenario, Metis births a child destined to dethrone Zeus, ending his reign prematurely. This act would have profound implications not only for the pantheon of Greek gods, but also for the lives of mortals. The primary significance of this hypothetical situation lies in the absence of Athena. Known as the goddess of wisdom, crafts, and strategic warfare, Athena's influence on both gods and mortals is pivotal. Without her divine intervention and guidance, humanity would lack the comprehensive wisdom and strategic prowess she imparts. The victories and advancements credited to Athena's presence would never transpire, leaving a notable void in the cultural and intellectual progress of ancient civilizations. To illustrate, consider the strategic genius attributed to Athena during the Trojan War. It was her counsel that guided heroes like Odysseus, resulting in the Greeks' cunning victory. Without her, such tactical prowess would be absent, potentially altering the course of legendary conflicts like the Trojan War and reshaping mythological history. In a real-world analogy, her absence can be likened to the loss of strategic minds in history whose innovations and leadership changed the course of human events, such as Napoleon in military strategy or Einstein in scientific advancement. Supporters of Athena's impact might argue that her wisdom and strategy are essential components of human progress, emphasizing the importance of divine inspiration. Conversely, some might argue that Zeus's fear and paranoia highlight his vulnerability as a ruler, suggesting that the prophecy's fulfillment could lead to a godly order more empathetic or beneficial to mortals. The challenges associated with this discourse include alternative interpretations of Athena's role, where some might contend that human ingenuity and wisdom could flourish independently of divine influence. Moreover, others might see Zeus's decision to consume Metis as a manifestation of oppressive control, questioning his rightfulness as king of gods. This point connects deeply to the overarching narrative of power dynamics within mythology. Zeus's actions, driven by self-preservation, inadvertently emphasize the importance of foresight and counsel traits embodied by Athena. Ignoring the prophecy would not only shape the role of the gods, but alter the moral and strategic fabric of human legacy, illustrating the intricate interplay between divine intervention and human achievement. Zeus's decision to ignore the prophecy concerning Metis, the Titaness of wisdom, marks a pivotal divergence from the mythological course that ancient Greek lore traditionally follows. In classical mythology, Zeus devours Metis to prevent her from giving birth to a son, prophesied to dethrone him. This act, while severe, secures his reign and results in the birth of Athena from his forehead, preserving the divine wisdom, crafts, and strategic prowess that she embodies. By choosing to ignore the prophecy, Zeus would embrace a different strand of fate. The significance of this point lies in its potential to alter the fabric of mythological history. Ignoring the prophecy could have led to the birth of a formidable contender, threatening Zeus's dominance and realigning the power dynamics of the Greek pantheon. Without Athena's influence, mortal societies would lose a crucial divine patron whose domains cover wisdom, strategy, and the arts, thus hindering human progress and cultural evolution. For Zeus, this scenario would exemplify a short-sighted gamble, as absent Athena's counsel, his strategic blunders could jeopardize the Olympian authority during critical events, such as the Trojan War, ultimately affirming that it was indeed his paranoia that preserved his sovereignty. In illustrating this point, we might compare it to real-world scenarios where leaders overlook critical warnings with wide-reaching consequences. The ignored climate change warnings reflect a parallel, where immediate gains are prioritized over long-term stability. Moreover, this point aligns with historical rulers like Louis XVI, whose failure to heed prescient warnings led to the drastic reshaping of French governance through revolution. Supporters of this interpretation might argue that a refusal to heed divine warnings underscores human, or in this case, godly, hubris, a classic theme resonant in many narratives of power. Zeus's hypothetical dismissal of the prophecy encapsulates this hubristic flaw, serving as a timeless caution against dismissing foresight and wisdom. Yet there are challenges to this narrative. One might argue that Zeus's traditional response by swallowing Metis isn't merely paranoia, but a calculated risk to consolidate power intelligently. Conversely, others may suggest that Zeus ignoring the prophecy represents a more humane, less tyrannical approach to his fears. This point intersects with the broader topic by challenging Zeus's character and leadership. It explores the fundamental dynamics of power, destiny, and the consequences of decisions. By conceptualizing Zeus ignoring the prophecy, we extend an invitation to reflect upon the weight of choices in the face of uncertain futures, both divine and mortal, echoing throughout timeless narratives of governance and existential reckoning. In exploring the hypothetical scenario where Zeus ignores the prophecy and does not swallow Metis, we delve into a mythological divergence with far-reaching impacts. This concept hinges on Metis, the Titaness of wisdom, not being consumed by Zeus, which would lead her to bear a child destined to overthrow him. This child's birth would signify an early end to Zeus's reign, fundamentally altering the celestial hierarchy of Greek mythology. The prophecy's role is crucial, serving as both a foreshadowing of potential upheaval and a test of Zeus's decision-making in attempting to secure his power. By swallowing Metis, he not only averted immediate danger, but inadvertently gave rise to Athena, goddess of wisdom. Her existence brought divine enlightenment, aiding mortals with arts, strategy, and prowess in war. The absence of Athena would leave a tangible void. Mortals would lack divine guidance in crafts and strategies. Historically significant conflicts like the Trojan War might have unfolded differently, with Zeus navigating without Athena's sage counsel. This shift underscores the importance of wisdom in leadership, revealing how Zeus's paranoia unwittingly fortified his throne. In a contemporary context, leadership void of critical guidance often leads to ineffective outcomes. Consider how strategic advisors today play vital roles in political and corporate realms, their absence potentially precipitating blunders akin to Zeus's imagined missteps without Athena. There are differing opinions on Zeus's actions. Some may argue that his paranoia was an excessive response to a prophecy, reflecting a lack of confidence in his ability to adapt to change. Others might claim that such caution was warranted, given the past overthrow of his own father, Cronus. This divide echoes larger debates on the balance between calculated risk and overcautious decision-making. Challenges arise in this speculative tale. Predicting the precise nature of the child foreseen to dethrone Zeus presents a complex question. Would this offspring indeed have been more capable than its father, or merely a threat by virtue of prophecy? Some narratives suggest alternate futures shaped by divine intervention, pointing to variably different mythological paths. Ultimately, this narrative ignites dialogue on fate, wisdom, and leadership within both mythological and real-world frameworks. It connects deeply to themes of power preservation and the unforeseen benefits or detriments of choices, underlining how wisdom or its absence profoundly influences the course of destiny.